Illini fans, we have an NCAA tournament round two to talk about. Illinois beat Xavier. Now it's time to talk about the Kentucky Wildcats. And today we have Tristan Pharis from Kentucky Insider. He's the founder of that site, and then he's also an editor for Sea of Blue. Let's bring on Tristan right now. Tristan, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. How about you, Austin?
Doing well. Just very excited about this NCAA tournament game, and it's a kind of a game where Illinois and Kentucky match up pretty favorably. I mean, they're back to back on Kim Palm, and it should be a fun game. So let's kind of get to a little bit of context about the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky got rid of Calipari to transition to Mark Pope. What was that transition like for the fans of Big Blue Nation?
Well, initially, I don't think anybody was happy. That first, I think it happened on a Thursday night. There was about a 12-hour stretch from Thursday night to Friday morning where you heard everything bad that could have ever been said about Mark Pope. And then something happened about midday Friday. We're just like, it actually was a video that talks about his offense that kind of gave people a second look at him. Let's give him some type of chance, is kind of what the kind of feeling was at the time. And then that Sunday, you had 20,000 people packed out Rupp Arena. It was just insane. But yeah, a whirlwind of a week, to put it easily.
So, how patient will Kentucky be with Mark Pope?
He's built up a lot of brownie points this year. And it started off, obviously, he played here. He won a championship here. But just how he has talked to the fans and incorporated, I mean, just to give people some type of background, John Calipari was great for the first 10 years at Kentucky. These last 5 years probably couldn't have gone any worse. On and off the court, not to say that he's a bad person. It was just he didn't talk to the media the same, and you can see that in his interviews. He didn't reach out to the community the same, or anything. Not to, like I said, not to say he's a bad person, but Mark Pope has righted those wrongs very quickly. Just to an example, any standard home game that you're at Kentucky, he is about to leave when the media leaves. And if you're at the arena, that's like 2 or 3 hours after the game ends. He has no obligations. He's not required to stay there that long. It's just Mark Pope has been a Kentucky first guy, and it's something that's been very welcomed by the Kentucky fans.
Now, what does roster construction look like from the Calipari days into Mark Pope?
So this first year has been a crazy reconstruction. Your best players right now, including injuries, are Lamont Butler from San Diego State and Amari Williams from Drexel and Otago from Oklahoma. So only two of those guys came from, or only one of those guys came from a Power Five conference. Compared to John Calipari, five-star, uh, first round recruit. So it's just a very contrasting different style in terms of going after those elite athletic guys to the guys that have been overlooked their entire career.
What does the injury situation look like for the Kentucky Wildcats as we enter in this round two?
Well, currently it's not as bad as it has been, but it has been a lot worse this season. So they are without Jackson Robinson, which was their second leading scorer. We've been without him about a month now due to a wrist injury. Had to have surgery on that. Are without him. Lamont Butler is somehow making it work with one shoulder. You'll see him tomorrow in the game. He's got a very restrictive brace on his left shoulder. And if he shoots a layup with his left hand, it's most likely not going in just because it restricts that motion so much. And then you just have guys, I mean, with just nagging injuries. Amari Williams has a back injury. He's playing through it. So Mark Pope put it as these guys are playing off sheer will and love for one another. And hopefully that can get them far, but the injury situation isn't ideal for the NCAA tournament run.
Offensively, can you elaborate on what the Kentucky Wildcats like to do? What is their MO on the offensive side of the ball?
So for sure. So if you don't know much about Mark Pope offense, he's a very he loves to shoot threes. Now this Kentucky team has probably not met the standard that he would like. I know in the preseason he wanted to see 30 to 35 attempts. Kentucky, I think, was the last time I looked, averaging about 24, somewhere in there. So they usually shoot low to mid 20s, which, like I said, he would much rather be up towards that 30 mark. But they definitely love the 3-point ball, and they have guys 1 through 5 with the exception of Amari Williams when he's on the court, that can shoot the three. So that is definitely a first. They don't shoot mid-range jump shots, which John Calipari loved, and has gone away in the modern offense. So it's layups and threes, just like you see everywhere. But Lamont Butler, he's kind of the spear that leads it all. He's able to keep it under control, get people involved, even when he's not scoring. He had 0 points of the night and still was plus 22 on the box score. Now that is Troy, so take it with a grain of salt. But Otega Oweh is probably the biggest offensive weapon Kentucky's got right now. When he's going, the team goes. So he's had 3 games this season where he hasn't scored 10 points. And those 3 games, they've been absolutely blown off the court. I think 2 of those had 15-point losses. So he's the key.
Yeah. So, what do Illini fans need to know about Otega? What does he like to do offensively?
He's not a great 3-point shooter, which goes against what I was just previously said. He will keep you honest. I think he shoots in the low 30s. So he is somebody that can keep you honest, not somebody that you can just back off. But his bread and butter is driving to the hole. He loves transition. He loves a spin move going up for a layup. So he really, really loves to attack, especially downhill. So that'll be his bread and butter for any game.
Kobe Bray was a guy that Illinois was really interested in the offseason. What has he meant for the Kentucky Wildcats season?
He's been big as well. So it kind of in a relation to Oweh, when Kentucky plays well, Brea plays well. He is one of the best shooters in the country. That's well known at this point. He doesn't love the Evo NXT ball, if you haven't heard that debate, which is a crazy one that's going around the tournament right now. So he didn't shoot too well in the first game. I do think he knocked 2 down, but he's definitely Kentucky's best 3-point shooting weapon. And he has been able here in the least recently without the Jackson Robinson lineup, he's been able to control the ball more, get a little bit more of his teammates involved with people over helping on him, and also get a little bit downhill towards the basket.
Defensively, what do the Wildcats like to do?
Defensively, it's not been great for the most part of the season, to put it honest with you. I think at one point they're actually outside of the KenPom top 100. Things have gotten much better. Lamont Butler, like I said, he spearheads the defense as well, just because at San Diego State, he was a 3-time defensive team selection, 1 defensive player of the year last year there. And he's just able to stop that penetration. He's able to get pressure on the ball. And when he's not on the court, they kind of struggle there. Amari Williams is a 3-time defensive player at Drexel. So those 2 guys are your strengths. Outside of that, Kobe Bray is not a great defender. So they can be exposed just about everywhere else between Lamont and Amari.
If you're just tuning in, this is Illini Cast, part of the Armchair Illini Network. Comment any questions that you have for Tristan, and we will make sure to get those into the chat. But like, share, and subscribe if you are here. But let me ask you this, Tristan. Fill in the blank. When Kentucky wins its biggest games, it's because of blank.
3-point shooting, plain and simple. Like I said, that's Kentucky's what they try to do offensively. So when they're making shots, it's really hard to beat, and that's just about any team in the tournament, to be honest with you. But in a, kind of playing off that 3-point shooting, they have to really move the ball well. I think something to the effect of 13 of their made shots last night were 13 assists. So Kentucky's ball movement, it's not usually one unsung hero every night. Anybody can step up. Kobe Bray is capable of starting 20 points. So it's definitely the ball movement and the 3-point shooting.
When Kentucky has lost those big time matchups, it's because of blank.
I would say, honestly, lack of athleticism. Obviously, you can say 3-point shooting on the other hand, but I'm going to say lack of athleticism. When they play athletes, they really tend to struggle just because this Kentucky team is not full of those athletes. Otega Oweh is one of the best athletes in the country. That's really all they got to rely on, that athleticism. Going back to Lamont Butler, he can help with that, trying to stop a quick guard's first step. But a guy like, I'm not even going to try to say your 6'6" Lithuanian guard's last name. I don't want to butcher it.
Jaka
Jonas, thank you. He is somebody that could give Kentucky some problems, and Will Riley as well.
So how are Kentucky fans feeling about this matchup with the Illini based on what you've seen on social media?
It's a little bit of a mixed bag. Some expected Kentucky just because of the success they've had regular season, make it Sweet 16, or the 3 seed, your favorite in this game. I would say that's probably the most favorable take. You're the 3 seed, higher seed, you're supposed to win this game. However, there's also a good chunk of the fan base that are happy that they made it to this point, just considering the injuries. The last few years, you haven't been great. You lost to Oakland last year. The year before that, lost to a Kansas State team. And the year before that was St. Peter's. So it's not been a great run. So just winning the one was a big sigh of relief yesterday. But it's just about putting up a good fight. I think Kentucky fans will respect, even if they lose tomorrow, as long as they show that they belonged on the court. Given all the injuries, given what's happened this season, most people would be pretty happy with that.
Alex from Armchair Illini, who's the head of the snake for Kentucky? Otega Owe or Amari Williams?
If you're talking about scoring, it would be Otega. Now, if you're just talking about offensive facilitation, Amari, so Lamont Butler's been out. Like he was out 8 of the 18, 7 or 8 of the 18 SEC games. Amari Williams ran point. As crazy as that sounds, he is truly a 7-foot point guard. If you can kind of force him to turn the ball over, that's great in Illinois' favor. But if he's able to get 6, 7 assists, which he's had a triple double this season, one of the few in Kentucky's history, so he's capable of running point when he needs to. So I would say he's the head of the snake as far as that entire offense.
So Tristan, say you were an Illini fan. Are we, as Illinois, getting Kentucky at the right time or the wrong time?
I would say the right time. It's basically going to be a home game for you guys. The environment last night for the Xavier game was crazy. Kentucky loves to travel. This is probably not the best traveling Kentucky site that I've seen in recent years, and I think a lot of that is PTSD from the last few years. But also, reason is you guys being so close raised the prices up. Not a lot of people want to spend $700 for a weekend to come for a first round game where you guys can drive back and forth. So you're playing pretty much a home game. You got Kentucky injured. You guys are playing good basketball, it looks like last night. So I think you guys are playing at a good time, but I expect a good game.
So there were 14 teams from the SEC this season that made the NCAA tournament, but you guys have had some dominant teams in your league. What were your thoughts before the season? Did you realize that this would be this deep of a SEC?
The SEC has been a climb for the better part of the last decade. If you go back 10 years ago, it was Kentucky and Florida. Those are the only two teams really making any type of run in the tournament. And that started changing. They reached out to several people in the college athletic world and started investing in their program, started getting better coaches, got Bruce Pearl, got guys that have won before, and it's paid dividends to an extreme amount this season. Obviously, a record NCAA tournament teams. The top of the league is as good as any conference in recent memory. I think what was the final 2 seeds line? You had 4 teams in the final 2 seed lines. So it's just crazy that you could have 4 of the 8 best teams in the country. I mean, you got a 50% shot statistically of winning the national championship. You would think if it's usually somewhere in that range. So it is just kind of crazy how this. I mean, it's tough. And you've seen Arkansas, a 7 seed that started 0-5 in the SEC, just made it to the Sweet 16 over St. John's. So it's just a very, very tough conference, and I don't see it getting any easier going forward, especially with teams like South Carolina, who was really good last year, made the tournament. They were the worst team in the conference this season. So it's definitely on the upwards trend, and we'll be up there with the Big Ten and Big 12 for best conference going forward.
How much have Kentucky fans been comparison shopping on what Calipari is doing at Arkansas and what Kentucky has done this year?
The minority, a lot. The majority, not so much. There's always going to be that vocal minority that kind of gives the fan base a bad stereotype. For myself, I'm happy for Calipari today. That gives me heat. It gives me heat. But he brought so much joy to Kentucky fans. 4 Final Fours in 5 years. Yeah, the last 5 years hadn't gone great, but the separation has been best for all parties involved. Arkansas needed an injection of energy. Kentucky needed an injection of energy, and both have gotten that. Arkansas went to the Sweet 16. Kentucky has a chance to do that tomorrow. So, and I had a lot of success during the season if they didn't. So you get wins over Duke, swept Tennessee, you beat Louisville. It's been a rebirth of sorts, as Kentucky fans have said this season. So it's been best for all.
Yeah, has there been a lot of Jekyll and Hyde of this Kentucky team? Because you guys have had some massive wins. You guys have beat Duke, but you've also had some clunkers in there. I mean, I know Arkansas is a Sweet 16 team, but you guys lost to them. Illinois beat Arkansas early on in the year. Have you guys had a Jekyll and Hyde experience with this Kentucky Wildcat team? Because I know Illini fans have big time with their own group.
100%, and I think that's what makes next tomorrow's matchup even more exciting. You may get one really good team, you may get two really good teams, you may get two bad teams just trying to beat each other. But for sure, you talk about the games like Duke and Tennessee, and they've beaten the best of the best. But then you talk about Ohio State losing by 20 in New York, and I think that's just kind of Mark Pope's offense. If you go back to his days at BYU, they had some big wins over Kansas last year. And then they lost to UCF in the very next game. So um, I think it's just kind of, I don't know if it's roster management. I'm not sure what it is, what the answer is. I guess we'll see going forward with Kentucky, given this just one season. But it's kind of just been Mark Pope's um, history to throw up some of those clunkers every once in a while.
How has Kentucky been tracking and recruiting for these upcoming years? I know the transfer portal is a very big for every big time program, but how has the baseline recruiting gone from Calipari to Mark Pope in future years?
I think most Kentucky fans have understandably adjusted their expectations. You're not going to get three top five guys under Mark Pope, especially right now. Maybe later, but especially right now. Next year they do have a top five class. I'm not sure where they sat the last time I looked, but they did have three top 30 recruits in Caden Lewis, Malachi Moreno, and Jasper Johnson. Two of those were in-state products, though, which was a positive for Kentucky, given we don't produce that much talent. But I think you're going to see Mark Pope really rely on the portal this season and going forward. And I think most successful coaches are doing that just because you know what you're getting. You see the numbers. You're not betting on a freshman that may be good halfway into the season, may not be good at all, or is great from the start. It's kind of a gamble either way. But a lot more people are becoming reliant on the transfer portal.
I mean, I'll tell you this. I was before the season. I told a lot of Illini fans, I'm like, look at the last few years of Calipari, and I think that's kind of what you have to expect for this Illini season. The NCAA tournament is going to be could be a one and done. It could be Elite Eight. Is the talent going to shine through, or is it going to look a lot like that Calipari team that lost to a team in Oakland because they just didn't have the experience? They got punched in the face and they didn't know how to react. And I was surprised with how the Illini reacted against Xavier. So I am excited to see what they do against some of these athletes like Otega and what they have with Amari and how they stop the 3-point shooting of Kobe. So this matchup just fascinates me. Illinois is favored by 1.5. What are your outlook? What's your outlook on this game?
My outlook on this game, and we've kind of halfway alluded to it earlier. It's just you don't know what to expect. Both teams have been up and down all season. Kentucky's injured. Illinois looks great. Kentucky looks great for parts of that game. And then you guys shoot a lot of threes, but you also rank outside the top 300 in percentage. So it's just kind of whose shots are going to go in. What do the matchups look like? Because it's a 1.5 point game. Vegas makes the odds for a reason, and when they have a game that close, you just never know what's going to happen.
Tristan, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I don't know if you have a prediction lined up on Kentucky Insider or Sea Blue, so I don't want to take your steam here. But if you could, what is your prediction for this game tomorrow night?
I'm going to be a homer. And that's no shot at you guys because I think you guys are more than capable of winning. But I would love to see. I have not seen Kentucky make a second round since I've been doing media.
That sounds unbelievable.
Yeah, since I started this in 2019, and the first year that I covered was the COVID year, and we have not been to the second round since then. So, just for my sake, I want to make it to the second round and go to Indianapolis weekend. So I'm going to take Kentucky by 5.
I mean, Illinois has some history with Kentucky of not having the greatest success. I believe they're 0-4 or 0-5 in the NCAA tournament against the Kentucky Wildcats. Last matchup being all the way back in 1984, but it just shows how when you play a blue blood, how those brands can just lull some players into a false sense of depression there. So that's something that a lot of Illini fans just have to overcome in this matchup. But Tristan, I want to thank you so much for your time here. Where can people find you on social media to see your tweets or during tomorrow's game?
Yeah, during tomorrow's game, you can find me on Twitter, Tristan Uda. That's UDA. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you search my name, I should be on there.
And then Kentucky Insider and Sea Blue, what do you got
Oh, yep.
cooking for these matchups and
So
afterwards?
if you guys want to check that out, we had some locker room interviews kind of previewing Illinois, what Kentucky players expect. So if you guys want to see the kind of Kentucky side of things, you guys are more than welcome to check that out. That's up on our YouTube feeds, and I'll be clipping that up tonight and tomorrow morning.
Tristan, I want to thank you for your time once again, and I hope you enjoy the games tonight, and of course the round of 32 tomorrow night, leading up to the Illinois and Kentucky game. Tristan, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Austin.
And that was Tristan Pharis of Kentucky Insider and Sea of Blue. This has been an episode of IlliniCast, part of the Armchair Illini Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. Afterwards, after the Kentucky game, we'll be diving into that and maybe talking about future uh, future rounds of the NCAA tournament or the beginning of the offseason. So stick around, Armchair Illini and Illini Cast. We have got you covered. Thank you, ILL, I and I.